Okay, so with regards to tasks, there are several updates to go through in this sprint review, namely around there now being the ability to be able to create tasks for other users and to view other users' tasks as well as the main component. But as part of that, we've put in place a series of user group permissions and settings to enable who can and who can't do that. And as well as that, there's an element of configuration required in Outlook per user that needs to be known as part of this setup as well. So if I just go through it step by step, but to begin with, obviously within the tasks area in Colleague, the slight change here is that we've now got this user drop down option that's there, and on the basis of this being set up as you need it to be, you'll obviously have the option to be able to select other users, and then obviously in turn that will bring through their tasks that are obviously against their account in terms of what they're working on. But if I go through it step by step in terms of how this is set up, within the admin area under user group permissions, what we have now are two new settings. One is to create a task against another user within the team, and the other one is to create a task against any user within the team. So if you want to have it so that you can view and create tasks for only users within a team, so if you want to set it up so that users within a certain team can only view and share each other's tasks, create tasks for each other, then that's all possible using that setting. But if you want to freely just have it so that anyone can view or create tasks for any user in the system, you can obviously have that user group privilege as well. And obviously the team reference here in terms of knowing what team that user is part of is obviously going to be looking at the team structures that you've set up in the system with regards to here. So it depends on the architecture that you've set up with regards to your teams as to how that would function. But what we've also implemented as well, just to take it down to an even more kind of granular level, is an ability for, if I go to my user record on here, is an ability to be able to set the with not you're going to share out your diary and tasks on a per user level. So obviously we've had user group permissions which we've just gone through, but if you want to specifically target certain users to say that person is not to have their diary or tasks shared, then you can do that. And this is obviously if you're in a situation we've got perhaps a flat structure, but the director's diaries and tasks are not to be shared, then you can set that up by obviously having this setting set to no. By default, it will be set to yes, and everything is managed through the user group permissions. But we want to offer that extra kind of granular user level option as well to define whether or not diaries and tasks are shared. So with those two settings applied and with that full access given, there are two other components that need to be understood. One is that following the upgrade, the user would needed to have logged into Colleague at least once. They don't have to be logged into Colleague for you to be able to view their task, but they would have had to have logged into Colleague at least once. And in that process of them logging in, we'll have a process in the background which is tracking and finding their task folder ID, which is what's needed to basically be able to go and view their tasks. So once you've done that once, logging after the upgrade, that would mean you'll then be included within the list of users that can be viewed. As well as that, there's one other element as well, and that is within Outlook itself, under the tasks area, on the selection of tasks, if you go to folder permissions, the permission level of default needs to be set to editor. So it's giving the rights for others to be able to view your tasks and create items for you. So that's another component that needs to be done as well on a per user basis against their Outlook account. I mean, once it's done, it's done, and then you'd have to worry about it. But to be able to get it all working in a manner that you would want it to, which is be able to just freely switch between different users, then you have to go through that process of just making sure everyone's Outlook is set up as it needs to be. With regards to, if perhaps a user hasn't set up their tasks, what you're going to get is them appearing in this list because you've got the rights to be able to view other users, you've got the rights to be able to select that person because they've logged into the system and that the folder ID is known. But if they haven't shared out their tasks, you're going to see this message, which is failed to get Outlook tasks This may be due to the user's Outlook tasks folder not being shared, and that's basically them not within this area, not allowing for that permission for their Outlook tasks to be shared out. So that's just something that's important to note with regards to this feature, that there needs to be that sharing implemented on the user side against their Outlook account. But once it's done, and then you can move on from there. But from that, obviously users are available as part of that drop down, and then when you add a new task as well on anywhere in the system, you've got that user drop down that's available there, and you could just select different users, and everything else is just the same in terms of selecting the user and creating the task. Everything else is just the same. And then that task will obviously go into that user's record. A history is created against the linked record, and everything works as it should. So that's the key update that's been made there with regards to tasks.